Where's the continuous baler in your product range?
You want to have a look at the control box?
Oh, we're not answering that question yet then. How long now? There's one thing I do know about an 820 fin. There ain't room for the two of us in there. Mike, back again. I've done what I always said we shouldn't do. I've put a fit on a fusion baler because I've always said the two greens don't work. But we tidied our 820 up and you have something new and exciting that you wanted to talk about, and I thought, 17-year-old tractor, brand new latest and greatest Fusion 4 Plus, new touchscreen. So tell us about this, what you've changed.
Fusion 4 has been out now, it's done 2 seasons, brilliant product. We started building Fusions back in 2002, 2003, and it's progressed 1, 2, 3, and now we have the 4. So from the outside, okay, it's a Fusion, but there's a lot of little details in the machine which we can go through.
Now the automotive industry, they do this with cars. And one thing I've noticed over the years, agricultural products have started to become more like that in style and how they have to look. So they change a bumper and they call it a new model, and then they get boys all talked in, hyped up to buy them. Is that what's happened here?
Not exactly, no, but I agree with what you're saying. The machinery world has gone very similar. Every 5, 6 years now, we need to produce something new, something different. Keeps our customers fresh, keeps them interested, and they like to see progression. As a company, from day one, we've listened to our customers, we've listened to people that use them every day, and we've developed the machine on their recommendation. So as time goes by, 5 or 6 years, there's a lot of technology at it, there's a lot of spec at it, there's a lot of improvements at it, which we've done with the Fusion 4. So to answer your question, yes, the machinery is pretty similar to the car game. Yes, you have to give it a bit of cosmetic, but a lot of it in the Fusion is the bones of the machine and the working.
Since you last were with us, and I do believe the last time was at the beginning of the Fusion 3. Yes. We had it in the lovely Massey, and it was a great job. But one of the things I had spoke to you about, you'd said to me, we would be the world leader in, combination balers for, the Fusion product. Absolutely. Well, we then have went on our travels since. We've tried to get out and about. We've got sort of stateside, we've got to Australia, and we've got to, I'm going to say in particular, New Zealand. We've been around Europe a little bit since then. And I'm going to say, tip my hat to McHALE as the local brand. You are the leaders from what I can see out there.
We're very fortunate. We export now to maybe 55, 56 different countries. And in most markets, if not all markets, we will be #1 with that product.
Why?
Because it does what it says on the tin. It's simple, it's a combination machine, it's easy use, and they just work. Simple, reliable product. We specialise, this is our mainline product, and a lot of pride and a lot of work has gone into this machine to make it what it is today. Our customers have proved it. Your first sale will be maybe the hardest, but as time goes on, 90% of our customers have come back and bought the same machine again.
Well, I'm not a baler man as in me, myself, and I used to do a little bit of baling years ago with an old New Holland built baler at Straw. Loved it. I did a little bit with another brand at a time, and I allowed, after the issues I used to have with netters, that's enough of that crack for me. I was putting years on me. But this baler arrived direct from factory into my yard. I watched a video, you and Jared done a video of how to set it up, right? And I actually must admit I enjoyed watching it. So I said, right, I'm going to have a go at this myself in the yard. We looked at the level, we had to adjust it ever so slightly. The only one that caught me out that I found in the video was I couldn't get her to lift the reel whenever I had the load sensing on, but I realised then the valve block. Correct. The magic number is you turn it back 5 times for load sensing and away we go. But everything other than that was plug and play. And the new screen, I was pressing buttons every single way, and as you said, doing the dangerous one, holding them sometimes. Yes. And I was able to work my way around that machine basically as a complete novice.
That's what we aim for. We do all our own software in-house. We've got the guys, they're very down to earth. They all use the machines themselves on a daily basis. So we make the machine as user-friendly as we can. Like yourself, there's lots of guys that are good at what they do, but they want to jump on the baler for a day because they like it and they want to use it. So it has to be easy. It has to be all right to adopt to.
So the plan for this particular baler was, come up to us, wanted to get a chat with you before it gets scored down too many lanes. And when she's nice and fresh, and she's gone off now, so James has organised it to go off to a few of the local dealers up here in the north for demos, and then whenever we get it back, Donkey's going to go baling. He's just going to go off to a field himself, take a wee camera with him, and actually see, can he make a bale that doesn't look like a mushroom?
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
You reckon I can manage?
Absolutely no issue.
But one of the things I can say, I have a great avid following for machinery. We've been videoing your product on the Fusion line from day one. We've looked at all the different ranges coming up now. The mowers, I'm all on the mowers. I loved the time we did the bit with the mowers. We were able to go make them dance. My type of mower, plug, play, use the fancy controls in the tractor to suss everything out. Hey, let's get back to the Fusion. So, Fusion 1, 540.
Yes.
Cammed,
Yes.
pickup. Fusion 2, 540, cammed, pickup. Fusion 3 is when it started to get, am I allowed to say the word better? I don't want, I have to be careful here because you don't want to get shot when you go home.
All the time getting better, all the time improving.
There was a tiny dead spot on some of those early balers, and if you were in a certain type of soft grass, yeah, sometimes it felt a wee bit of an issue getting it back. You needed a flow.
Later in the season, shorter, wetter material.
But we're in camless
Yes,
and we're in 1,000 speed.
yes.
Has that gone?
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. I would imagine sort of 70-80% of our production now will be camless pickup. Still do the standard cam. Camless, you've got 6 rows of tines instead of 5.
So that's where I need help. So I don't know sometimes between a camless and a cam pickup, because a camless you need more room to get your tine away. And a camless you don't need that room because the tine folds back down. So you've no issue with a dead spot now on a camless. So what's happening that's actually making, because in my eyes you would have less issue, in theory you should have less issue with a cam pickup because you should be able to bring your rotor closer. I'm right, am I? And what I'm saying.
Let's back up a few steps
Right,
here.
let's reverse.
Let's back up. Get a bit closer to what we're talking about. So as we can see here, this is a camless pickup. You're on a heavier tine. You've got an extra row of tines. The rotor of the machine compared to a 2 or 3 is actually moved farther forward.
Ah.
So that has made a huge difference to the intake in the machine.
So point number 1, it's getting caught quicker.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. We've also made the augers slightly bigger in diameter and actually shortened them slightly. So it's giving it a better appetite to get that crop moved across and into the rotor itself. So probably as time goes on, rakes are getting bigger, crops are getting heavier, people are expecting more volume, horsepowers are getting more. So that's what we've really worked on the Fusion 4, is to get the throughput of crop into the machine.
On that point, I have to pick you up.
Yes.
I have to pick up. So I had a good friend of mine, Glenn Wallace, was in the yard. This was sitting there, and he's running Fusion 3 pluses. I think he's running 2 of them. And he goes, there's a speed to bale. No matter what you do, you have to give it time to make the bale, make a tight bale in the chamber. So he said, how much faster can we get baling? What's your answer to that one?
Speed is only a part of it, Gareth. The whole thing with the pickup was to have it easier on the driver, clean the ground properly, and maintain bale shape. The biggest problem with maybe fast driving is packing the bale too quick, not maintaining shape, etc., etc. There is a comfortable speed that you can operate at, maintain a bale a minute, we'd say, or whatever. But a lot of the design of the pickup, the intake of the pickup, is to maintain that the crop is feeding evenly, so you get a nice square uniform bale, you clean the ground properly, and the machine is not blocking or getting upset.
So if we go back to, say, right, the very early days,
Yes.
Fusion 1,
Yes.
running a 540, and we've this now running in 1,000. So you've half the torque, so half the stress going through the baler, roughly.
Same speed, but less load, correct.
So that's why that was my next question. Are we running approximately at the same speed, or is the
Correct.
pickup running
Correct.
slightly
No,
faster?
we're running at the same speed.
Yes.
Basically, with the 1,000 gearbox, you're increasing your speed from the tractor, but you're reducing the load, so less torque. And that's the problem, as you get into bigger horsepowers, you've got huge torque coming down to 540, and the upset coming in through then will cause your clutching or whatever. So the 1,000 speed has been a massive addition to the bigger horsepower, plus the camless. And then the changes we've made to the pickup with the augers, the feed, and bringing the rotor forward. We have a new crop roller design here, so you've got the larger diameter crop roller wide at the front, compressing the crop, and then you've got the tines coming back, so they feed off the pickup tines. So you've got a lovely vision from the tractor to see your crop feeding in. So whether it's very short crop late on or large heavy crop for first cut, it makes a huge difference to feed the crop into the baler.
Bring her back down to ABC. Camless is the way forward.
I like it. Personally, I think it's brilliant, yeah.
Cam still an option?
Yes, absolutely.
But
yeah, camless will be getting to be probably 80% of our production now.
And if you lost a tine or anything in through it?
With the 6mm tine, the breakages have reduced, nearly gone completely. And the other reason is when you've got 6 lines of tines, you've got more tines lifting less weight. So it is much easier on the tine itself.
That makes great sense. That reminds me of an argument I had with a competitor, and I said, not in the baler, in the forager world, and I said 4 rows of tine don't. I says no matter what you do. I said if I lay down in the ground, would 4 people lift me easier or 6? That was my analogy. And they sort of were like, well, we haven't really an argument here.
The baler man will tell you for years the worst job they wanted at 10 o'clock at night when they went home was just to have to go replacing tines in a baler.
Agreed, yeah.
And I have to say, since we went camless and we went to the heavier tines, 6 rows of tines, this thing of replacing tines has virtually disappeared. On the bottom side of the pickup, we have the bands actually squeezed narrow. So in the unlikelihood of a tine breaking, it can drop straight out onto the ground, and it's not causing any problems within the pickup itself. With the camless as well, we're 1 tine wider, so it's a wider pickup. So it's 1 tine wider than what the existing pickup was. So it gives you better pickup motion, it gives you better cornering. And as I said earlier, with the extra line of tines, the tines aren't working as hard as they were. What makes this all work is your camless feeding back into the rotor. You've got your adaptive intake, which is the floor system can move up or down.
What do you mean now? Back up?
Just under the rotor there, you've got a suspended floor.
What is, no, okay.
We call it the adaptive intake.
Oh, that's very fancy.
It even works better than it sounds. As we're driving up the field.
So this bit between the rotor here?
Correct.
It moves up and down?
Just where the knives are there. That's on a spring-loaded system, so as the crop feeds in, it swallows.
Big lump.
You'll feel your tractor pull, but it'll take it through. And that is a serious advantage in the throughput of the machine.
And is that on springs or hydraulic?
It's on a spring-loaded system. If we look here, we can just see the top end of it. So you've got your drop-down floor system here. You can see where we've got our selectable 2-knife bank, and just to the front of it here, you can see this large spring, and that's your adaptive intake. So as the crop is feeding through, this can allow it to move ever so slightly, enough to allow the crop in through the machine.
And say like the Pottinger wagon, they have an auto sharpening system. Is that something, do you think is ever, I'm sure it has been talked about, there's no doubt that it hasn't been talked, it has to have been talked about. But physically, do you think, is there ever room, or is it something you'd like to see?
It will happen, Gareth, yes.
Oh,
it will happen.
Exciting. But because that, surely on maintenance terms, that has to be the one slightly missing link.
To make life easier for the operator again, to make the job simpler, if it's not easy, it may not happen. But if you can get to your knives easier, if you can sharpen them, it makes the job a lot simpler.
What's this?
That's your stretch unit, which you can alter the amount of stretch for the material from the cab. So if we're using net, we're maybe working at 6 or 8%. When we're using film, we can go anywhere from 10 up to 30%, depending on the manufacturer's recommendation. So it's a hydraulic unit that controls the stretch of the product going onto the bale. And that's all controlled from inside in the cab.
At the Yorkshire show, I spied a Fusion 4, but it wasn't like this. It was a belt Fusion 4.
Fusion Vario.
Vario.
Corrected.
A Vario Fusion. Fusion Vario. We are fascinated in this country with fixed chamber baler. Why aren't we looking more at the Vario? Because have we not proved now that it can handle the wet? Traditionally, it couldn't handle wet conditions.
Not ideal, no.
Well, that's not a problem.
No. We have a lot of work done with the belt balers, or the V range or the V8 range, as well as the Vario. In Ireland, yes, the market has been traditionally a fixed chamber baler, which we call a roller baler. Outside of Ireland, even the UK mainland, it's a belt baler market. The belts are driven by size of bale, which is a big thing. Guys can make the smaller bale all the way up to larger bale, plus again for straw. Maybe what drives a little bit, Gareth, I'd say, is a lot of the product outside of Ireland is sold by weight. So you don't buy hay by the bale or silage by the bale.
Per tonne.
Per tonne. And with your variable, you've also got the option to get higher density, maybe slightly bigger diameter bales, so you get more tonnage on your truck or trailer, and it's driven that way a little bit. As well as that, probably, as you said, the older belt balers wouldn't cope with the wetter, heavier material. That's where that newer balers we have will bale physically anything.
But for our viewers around the world, because I'm sure some guys from other countries, you know, there'll be people watching this all around the place, they'll be going, why are these guys in Ireland fascinated with a fixed chamber baler? Because they're probably using the Vario and have done probably for years.
Yes.
But
yes.
For now, it's fixed chamber in Ireland.
Yeah, it's fixed chamber. It's what they have. It's what they're used to. They can use them. They go and they will physically bale anything. There's never a dull moment. But the variable is coming. It is coming. James would have quite a few units sold in Ireland the last number of years.
James was saying that earlier. He was saying that they are liked, but when you make that big 5-foot bale of green grass, it's big.
It takes a bit of handling.
You know, your Fleming double bale lifter ain't lifting two of them like.
Well, you see, it's like the geometry is getting away a little bit. Yeah.
This baby here. Even I've managed to work my way around this. So this, whilst running, this is your fail safe, so we can check everything out from here. This was the little boy that
for the load sensing
caught me out at the initially. I couldn't understand why I couldn't get my reel up. The reason you set that in from factory.
We run them up every single machine we produce, not 1 in 5 or 1 in 10. Every fusion, when it comes to the end of the production line, is tested intensively for 25 to 30 minutes. So we run it on a in-house built power unit, which resembles our tractor. So it runs at a 540 or 1000. It puts 50 litres of oil through the machine. We even put a metal bale on the machine, and we wrap that a number of times. So we run it for that reason. Even as we speak, in a lot of parts of the world, there's a lot of guys still running without load sensing because it's not available, they don't have it. You go into parts of America, South America, a lot of older type tractors or Brazilian built tractors. So you gladly still have the option. Indeed, even here in Ireland, there'll be a lot of fellas with the older, makes of tractors which don't have load sensing.
That's true, but it's just one of those things. If you've bought a second-hand baler, because obviously if you buy a new baler, your dealer's going to set it up for your tractor. We understand that, but if you're buying a second hand one, it maybe hasn't been thought about, and you plug in your load sensing and it doesn't want to pick up the pickup reel, here, let me save you lots of phone calls. Turn this 5 times.
There you go. Jump in.
Turn this 5 times and you'll be amazed. But you can check everything from out here.
Yeah, quite easy in the morning. If you want to open your chamber, maybe have a bit of a clean around or a grease up, you can operate from there, which is quite handy.
Now, I don't know what they were trying to tell me when they sent up the tin of green paint. There wasn't much faith in my ability. But there's a wee toolbox here and a few wee. Is this a standard sort of a thing?
That would leave it all machines. A little bit of touch up, some spare chain links, some roll pins, just little bits and pieces that if you got stuck in the field in time to come, mightn't happen for a few years. But if you got caught in the weekend or late at night...
Well, I mean, a chain's going to give at some point. It's going to stretch, it's going to give. It has to.
You have a spare join link there, a half link, so you're never going to get caught short.
Well, there's no toilet roll in there, so you could still.
there's room there. There's room, yeah. Well,
wrap.
Yes, film storage there each side of the machine, so you can store your 5 rolls that drop out to make it a bit easier for loading or unloading. You
just need to make little front yokes, just wee add-ons. Like I call them, they're like wee bobbin holders, just that you buy a Fusion and you can get one of these for a wee bit extra. It just holds those extra few rolls because you've made the machine so good now, let's be realistic, they eat through a lot of plastic in a day if you're going.
Yeah, if you're out for a big day, you can.
I won't ask for 5%, on that idea, But
would you believe that in a lot of the world, and it's not an excuse, but in a lot of the world, a lot of customers are supplying their own wrap now. It's how it's gone, and the contractors in some cases prefer that. So you roll up, you might have a couple of rolls on board just to make sure you don't come short or anything. But they'll arrive in and there'll be maybe a stack of wrap left at the gate and you load up and away you go. And that's what they do.
But I know just my mate there, when the two of their Fusion 3 Pluses go off, but when they go together and they fill up both balers and they fill that up with, was it 12 or 13 or whatever it is, even that can struggle to keep, if they are pumping out boom, banging out the bales, breakdown free, just boom, boom, boom. That's what they can eat through. It's scary, the plastic they can eat through in a day. Like.
We'd have a lot of customers there, they'd be targeting 1,000 bales a day. When they're busy, that's the golden figure, 1,000 bales a day. Now that might sound sharp, but that's where you're heading. So you need a lot of material on board.
That's a lot of beeps to listen to.
Let's wander around the back here. At the back here, we've actually speeded up the wrapping ring just to allow for the extra input in the front. So again, that increases the output of the machine.
So the key thing you're telling me here is, when you make one bit better, you have to think about everything else.
You have to follow on through.
Is that all? Obviously, it's all safe and within tolerance.
Oh, absolutely. But you just have to keep the whole thing matched together. So if you're producing the bale that little bit quicker, you're transferring, you're wrapping, everything has to keep ahead of itself. So there is a limit that you're not breaking film, that you're not going past your stopping points. But
your transfer system, undoubtedly,
yes,
is the fastest and probably what really scores McHALE the big tick. Am I right?
Yes. The transfer from day one has been the bones of the machine, really.
And it hasn't really changed.
No, we've altered a little bit in the speed of it and the way it transfers, but the idea of splitting the chamber and using the chamber to transfer the bale directly onto the wrapper, there's nothing in the middle, nothing in between, especially in this terrain here where you're working on the side of a hill all the time. It's simplicity and it works.
That's it. In terms of the back of it, it just does what it says in the tin. The bale goes in, it goes round till it runs out of plastic and it spits it out.
That's it. Cuts it off clean every time.
Is there anything we need to worry about?
No.
Not turning the bale in wet conditions or any of that crack. Was a bit of a thing at a time.
A lot of work gone into the transfer of the bale, where it lands on the machine, the rotation of the bale, and we would be, as I said earlier, in extreme conditions this part of the world.
Well, there's no doubt about that. Like,
I
mean, it's rare to even get a dry day.
If it works here, it will work anywhere.
So I noticed when the baler came, the new touchpad. I've not seen that before in any of the balers. Which I like, because there seems to be an extra little function or two. So if my tractor's running, I can lift and lower this bad boy here. Right. I can spin these boys round, which we always couldn't we, to get the right bale. We can put on a light if it's dark. I don't know what A&B does. That was the one I wasn't sure. Can we pre-select that for something else?
Correct.
So I could lift my door, essentially, Right, so I kind of sussed it out, not too bad.
You're on the ball. That's your indexing as you normally had.
Yep.
For changing your roll.
Yep.
If you want to start your wrapping cycle, which is a nice idea, before you pop back in, start your wrapping cycle, finish that bale wrapping off.
Dropper.
Your lights, as you said, drop it, and they're your custom buttons that you can, assign from the system to whatever you want to use.
And that's fairly flexible.
Yes.
Fairly flexible, so we could go into the screen and pick A and pick B or whatever. So if we were just finishing off a field and we wanted to see what was in it, the chamber, we could come out and literally watch it be. We could go out, lift the door, transfer it. Right, okay. That's ABC there, literally AB. So this is what we need our links for.
Yeah. This is the drive side of the machine. So a few additions we put on. We've little brushes put on the cut and tie here now to stop the tack of the film building up, which was maybe something could happen over a period of time, but it's made it a lot kinder. That's on both sides.
So that's just this here.
Yeah.
Like bristles.
Correct.
And that just, is that like a static thing you're trying to cut down on?
You're gathering film all day, every day. So it's the tack coming from the film, maybe sitting on the mechanism itself. So the brushes just keep it clean, keep it away.
Is that like
the tack off
an oily residue or something?
Well, it's the stickiness of the film.
Crap. Can we call it that?
It's the stickiness of bonding the film, really. But right. it will obviously build up after a while. But that basically cures that.
And what was happening?
Just the stickiness would build up after a period of time.
And she didn't cut it as right, or didn't cut it nice.
Didn't do what it should be doing. Yes.
Aye.
So it's a big improvement.
You could end up with a bale not cut, and then when you go to drop it off, there's a big string of weight or something like that.
Little bit of that, or when you go to start your next bale, you're out.
Just can't. Aye. So basically, you're helping to keep us in the seat longer.
Correct.
Now, is that farmer led? Is that user led? See that likes of a little modification?
Absolutely. It's something that you'll hear about, and we worked hard to fix it, and that was probably take 2 or take 3, but it worked, and it resolved that completely.
I noticed this.
Yeah, just a little storage tray.
Throw any wee bits of grease. Well, I was assuming grease cartridges or
Yeah.
bits of plastic or the remains of the lunch.
Just somewhere to put your empty grease cartridges. You can sit them there, even to store them, rather than have them rolling around on the floor inside. You can have them in there, keeps the thing cleaner. You've got your blanks or spare blades.
Couple of blades.
Drive line still on the heavy duty chain. The drive chain that comes from the gearbox here is all one piece now. There's no joining link, so we fit it on like a belt. So there's actually no joining link on the chain, so there's no weak point. So obviously when the chain has done its time, you can remove it and start again, or replace it with a chain with a joining link.
So you need to almost look at your chain now like a belt as a concept.
Correct.
And when it's done, and you put a new chain on.
Correct.
And in theory, if everything runs okay, we shouldn't be out putting links in all that.
No, them chains, to be fair, we've used a diamond chain from day one.
Okay.
You get the mileage from it. It's a fantastic product. You can't substitute on the suppliers. It's like having a best racing car and using bad tires. We always use the best of components on all our machines, including the chain. And it really, really stands to the output of the machine. What we have done is we put these newer type adjusters here, spring-loaded adjusters on the chain. So basically what that means is the chain is fully tensioned all the time. On more traditional machines, what you find is after your chain had maybe done 500,000
stretches a little bit.
paint is gone, you're out adjusting. Some do, some don't. But with this system here with the springs, the chains are fully loaded all the time, so they're tensioned all the time.
And by the time the pressure's off that spring, it's time for a new chain.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
I'm learning, you see. You can teach me the odd thing.
Automatic oiling, oiling and automatic greasing. So that's been on the Fusion from day one, but we've increased the size of the oiler to give it a little bit more capacity. And you're on the grease system here, which will do 300 bales.
So I've baled 1,000 bales yesterday.
Yes.
I'm some boy, flat.
Good day.
So I'm heading out today to bale another 1,000 bales because we're busy. Like,
Yes.
what do I need to do?
First thing in the morning, check your grease cartridge, top up your oiler. Every second or third day, a few grease nipples on the hinge points of the machines, maybe into hydraulic cylinders.
Hinge points, hydraulic cylinders.
Grease your power shaft. All the new power shafts now are greased from the end, so it's not a take-off wrestling job.
Grease your shaft every 2 or 3 days if you're busy.
Your
Hinge points. And what else did you tell me?
Apart from that, it's pretty much looked after by itself.
Check your oil.
Yeah, pretty much. This machine will operate away. It'll get grease out to all the bearings. Every time it drops a bale at the back, it activates the pump, and that gets grease out to 3 rollers, and it works in a sequence valve all the way around the machine. So it keeps it lubricated and it also keeps it cool. You're working there in high temperatures in, maybe not in Ireland, but in some countries.
I was going to ask you where you were at, but yeah.
The heat is big in an episode as keeping the machine lubricated.
And how often would we need to change a cartridge?
300 bales is what the recommendation is.
So you will need cartridges with you.
Correct.
So 300 bales, so on a big, right, so that, I'm with it.
Yeah.
So a couple of times a day you could be changing a cartridge.
Correct, but it's a clean and it's a simple system. Plus, when you screw that off after 300 bales, it's empty, it's done its job. Inside in the machine itself, in the controller, it will count down for you. So after it's done 300 bales,
Next time you're out doing plastic,
it'll notify you.
throw your... So it's relatively maintenance handy.
Correct.
Even for this modern, don't want to get my hands dirty driver. I'm going to get abused, am I?
In the world we're in, it's a busy place, and I was driving the Fusion yesterday, you're driving it today, so you thought I greased it and I thought you were going to grease it, but it didn't happen. So it's a simple thing in the morning. Check this guy, top up with oil, grease the shaft, and we're away.
And the absolute bottom line is she's covering the main points. So
Absolutely.
like if a day or two went past where we didn't do, this is just good to do, hinge points, and obviously our shaft, we all know that, but the main parts of that balers
Absolutely.
should in theory be covered automatically. So then round to the bit that has probably seen the most of the work that's ever had to be done in baler history, is getting the net stroke film to work properly. It looks complicated, but is it?
Not particularly. And it didn't happen overnight either, by the way. It takes a bit of time.
So what you're saying was there was maybe an issue or two?
Well, look at what works for us is gathering the film to one point, and you're basically feeding it in as a sleeve into the chamber.
Yeah.
And for once you feed it in, you open your rollers, your full sheet in, and away you go. We're still using the same knife that we use for cutting the net to shear the film, and the feed mechanism is pretty much the same as well. So it's simple, it works well now, and as I say, all product is improved.
And is it still a case of once your buzzer goes off, just that extra few feet till she starts to take
I
it in?
wouldn't have said so. I would agree with you if we had this conversation maybe 3 years ago.
Right, well that's why I'm asking.
But at the moment, no, you treat it like you're using net.
Stop.
Stop. You treat it like a normal machine. Buzzer goes, stop, feed the film, carry on.
Where's the continuous baler in your product range?
You want to have a look at the control box?
Oh, we're not answering that question yet then. How long now? There's one thing I do know about an 820 fin. There ain't room for the two of us in there.
With the Isobus, obviously, we've added a lot more features to the machine. It's a super bit of kit, but from the driver's point of view, you need to be able to adjust your density, adjust the amount of material you're using from the tractor seat. You've got a lot more memory for capacity for your work during the day. From a driver's point of view, probably the things that would stand out to me is your unblocking. So if you're using Isobus, we can have auto unblocking. If we're using the IsoPlay, we can have auto reset when we block. There's a lot of nice features from the driver's point of view that you can add to the machine.
So auto unblock.
Yes.
So I'm driving along, I've fell asleep and I've put that lump in the side and I've jammed the whole thing up. Is that what we're talking about here?
We're using the tractor terminal now. We're plugged directly into your tractor Isobus terminal.
Yes.
We're driving down the field, and in the very unlikelihood, as it would say in the plane, but in the very unlikelihood that you do block, it will stop the PTO and it will drop the floor.
When you should drop the floor, blades down.
Blades down as well, together.
Oh, drop all down.
Yeah.
Start up, nice and easy.
You restart your PTO,
Vroom.
floor back up, and away you go.
And we're not having to press 15 buttons to make this all happen. That's an auto feature.
Correct.
Now, potentially.
Correct.
What about with this screen?
When we go to the IsoPlay system, basically when you block, you basically stop your PTO.
Yes, without yes, I get that concept.
The machine is not talking directly to the tractor.
You'll have to. So you stop the PTO, yes.
Stop your PTO. You drop your floor. From once you re-engage your PTO, from once you get above 400 RPM, blockage has gone through. Obviously, at that stage, floor is up, knives are back in, and we're away.
She'll do that bit.
Correct.
So when we're using the screen, it's semi-automatic.
Yes, yeah, but it's still easy. You know, it's still easy compared to what it was. Other features you can add to the machine is you can add weighing as an option now. You can add.
Aye, that's something fairly new to you guys.
Yeah. We've had it maybe on the end of the Fusion 3s and moisture. So we have the moisture pad inside the chamber. So some customers now want that type of information. They want to know the moisture, the material they're baling. They want to.
We were talking about that, and lately working with John Deere and the Harvest Lab, talking about the importance of information, and it's a great feature. We're in the information age now. People want to know how many bales, what weight were they, because I think there's more to it than just I baled 40 bales for you and it's X pounds per bale. If you can give some information, going forward, information as to what exactly you baled.
So what the controller will do, it'll average what the weight was in a field. So we're not sort of taking every single bale as we go along, because it may vary from the headlands to the middle, or as the day goes on, the material will be getting drier. So it gives you an average, which is, most customers are happy with an average.
So I'm going back to the screen. Density on the move. Now you have density. This is something I never see people do much with a Fusion. They just bale, and they all look good.
They do. Depending on the customer, some people may prefer if they do maybe drier material to make the bales a little lighter. It might suit what they're doing at them, or if some people want to roll them if it's a horse material, haylage.
So how does density work on a percentage scale?
It's working. We're working from 1 to 10 on the controller, and it's got to do with the pressure basically as the bale fills.
So out of factory, where will she be sitting?
We'd be normally setting them, if I was here today, somewhere between 6 and 8 maybe. We can go 10, but I think in this type of material, in around 6 or 8 would be the norm.
So 6, so fairly up there.
Yeah.
And what would we use 10 on? Straw?
No,
Let down,
correct.
less for straw.
Correct,
Right, okay.
correct.
Thank you.
But you know, in the guys that want the extreme amount of grass in the crop and the real heavy bales.
Well, I was thinking that real short, fluffy, light stuff, you would want to try and push your density in there, wouldn't you?
If I was, you know, in most conditions, we'll start off at 6 or 8, and we can adjust.
Every farmer will be in with every contractor now. Yeah. Are you at 6 or 8? Yeah. No, I'm at 2.
Oh, 10.
Actually, he's running at 10.
Yeah.
I seen a TikTok last night. I was laughing. It was basically the guy having the same conversation with every. Oh, best silage I've cut the year yet. Customer number 2. Oh, that silage is in grand shape.
If they don't see the tractor struggling a bit or a bit of smoke, there's no density. Yeah.
So, our new screen is a big step up from your old screen, and one of the big things to have is it's big, it's bright, it's got nice colour, and it's touch.
And it's easy to use, Gareth. You know what I mean? For someone, as I say, like yourself that hasn't used it, you'll take to it straight away. The menu is easy work through. All the information is there. You can operate very easy. Even when you're using the machine, it's basically hands-free. It does it by itself.
Mm-hmm. Put it in the automatic mode and go.
Yes, you can have automatic bale drop if you wish. Most operators will just have the option. They can just drop the bale where they wish.
Of course. Well, in this country conditions, slight hills, if you're in lovely flat land, I get it, you just let it do its own thing.
So you hop in, you start your tractor, you put it in automatic mode, PTO on, set your revs. Isobus was the next step. We went that way 2 years ago. Obviously there's a lot more features we need to add to the machine, and without the Isobus you're limited when you're using a traditional control box system. So by going Isobus, it was fantastic. It brought the machine onto a newer level, give the driver more options. As well as that, you have the option of plugging directly into the tractor if you wish, or you have the option of the ISOplay, which we supply.
Well, here's my challenge for you. This baler has not baled a bale. We can, I mean, we're not that good at cleaning. So this is not baled a bale. You've took a look round what I did this morning. We made one adjustment, but that's based on hitch height, because everything changes, and how can you get that right? But that's a very important thing to point out, that you've got that movement. So you've big truck, you know, you have 42-inch rims, you have 38-inch rims, you have different hitches, they all set higher. So you like it running nice and straight off the
level would be the prefer, yeah.
So we made one adjustment this morning just to get hitch height right. She has never baled a bale. How confident are you?
I'd be 100% confident
that we turn the key, put it in the 1,000 speed, hit the down button, automatic, and just go, and she's going to spit us a bale.
Let's go.
Can we do this?
Are we having a bet?
No, how long here? Only if you're going to bet that it doesn't work.
No, look at you. Gareth, the confidence comes from me, from probably the factory end, that you know, the machines go up a production line, and these guys probably never get credit, you know, from the guys that cut the steel, to weld the steel, to the guys that physically bolt the machines together. Fantastic team. And at the end of their work, and everyone does their work good, at the end of their work we have a man at the end, as I said earlier, that tests every one of these machines. And when that machine is tested, I would have the confidence to put it on a truck and send it to anywhere in the world, and arrive there and put it on a tractor and start baling.
What point do you sit back and go, we've got the Fusion 4 out there, it's doing what it's doing, we've made all these improvements, what does the Fusion 5 look like?
You cannot sit still in any business, as you well know. You cannot sit still, and we have to keep looking to the future, what's coming next. And the way we find out that is working in the field with the customers. So at the moment, yes, we're number one in the marketplace, we're ahead of the game, we have the product at the moment, but we cannot just stay there. There's a lot of changes every season, not just this season. So probably in the next 4 to 5 years, we'll be looking forward again to the next product. A lot of it is what's coming next, what type of material they're baling, what does the customer require. So as we said earlier, they wanted more automation from the cab, they wanted more control from the cab, they wanted weighing, they wanted moisture, they wanted the throughput, and we've added all this to this machine. So the next set of demands will happen in the next 4 or 5 years.